working on fingering this. This is, of course, the Earl of Salisbury that I first heard on John Renbourn's album, Sir John a Lot. Is that the right album? I think so. Yeah, of course, with all the armor across the front, or the shields. And got a request a few weeks ago to put together a lesson on it. And I've toyed with this. You may have heard me mess with this before. And I thought, I've come so close to like finishing that one, and I just keep getting sidetracked, and I keep looking for better ways to finger things. So I ended up watching Renbourn's. John put together a lesson on this many years ago through Guitar Workshop, and it's up there at YouTube. You can find it. Pretty cool. And he just sort of talks through it. It's not doesn't tell you exactly what to do in a lot of spots, and he's clearly thinking about refingering things as he does stuff. So that's kind of what I'm doing right here. I want to finish this. But the first part is fab. Oh, it is November 17th. Oh, I got a lot. I might not be able to tell you too much about the Earl of Salisbury because I got a lot to get to, but I'm going to try it again one more time. Okay, that's good. I like all that fingering. Tricky part here. Oh, and I'll get to that chord in just a second. You've got these multiple voices. Answering back and forth while you have bass notes going on. The counterpoint in this is just so cool. Anyway, I had a student tell me the other day that they could never work on this because in John's original version, in the music, it comes to an E chord here, played in the D shape with a partial bar, well, like a two-string bar across the 4th and 5th frets. And that is a difficult chord. And then when I watch John play this, he doesn't play the E, and it makes it a whole lot easier. Doesn't play the note at the 5th fret. So, anyway, so it's not going to be as hard as we thought. Then there's a second part. And there's a lot of different ways of fingering that stuff. So I should not get too far down that rabbit hole. Anyhow, that's what's going on. One of the things that's going on with me. And then, of course, I'm also torn between, I've got too many things I'm working on at the same time. This probably happens with you. You're never quite sure. I got 6 songs I'm working on, and that's why there are there are about 3 or 4 things that prevented me from finishing any one of them. The one that has gotten the closest is one I played the last few weeks, Ferry Cross the Mersey. Almost had it done, and then came up with some other just little ideas, part of some of which made it easier, some of which made it harder, and then I always have to balance that. Anyway, but between all of these bands I'm still working on, I appreciate the requests on the forum. The Rembrandt's tune was a great suggestion, and those 2 guys, Danny and Phil, do a great job of playing 2 different guitar parts, and but really the part that Danny plays and the lead singing is how I would mostly show somebody to play that. It doesn't look really, it's not really a good way to combine those 2 parts into one thing, which was part of the request there. But it does make a, just the way it is, Baby is the tune we're talking about, would make a good lesson. So I appreciate that. And there was a suggestion that I forgot about a little while ago about Spanky and Our Gang. So they're back in there with my other rotations of the Hollies and Jerry and the Pacemakers and the Seekers. So I got all these instrumentals kicking around that are all in various stages of becoming a lesson. Okay, but I got to get to all the fancy news today because there's some really big stuff. The first one is tomorrow. It depends on when you're seeing this. A lot of you don't see these till Saturday or later. If it's after Saturday noon California time, you missed the webinar that we're working on. And this is, we're doing this about once every 3 months, just for anybody that wants to join us, except you do have to register in advance, and then you'll get the code, the secret handshake to join us. The first one we did, I think probably back in July maybe, and it sort of turned into a really beginning guitar thing. Here's how to strum, here's how to hold a pick, here's how to do that stuff. And I'm going to start, each of these is going to get a little bit more focused. So the one that is on November 18th at noon Pacific time is going to be looking at what I'm calling guitar geography. And there's going to be, oh, by the way, then there's going to be all kinds of special deals available at the end. So we'll save that for later. Enough of the sales pitch. But this is going to talk about understanding the layout of the fingerboard better, and then understanding intervals, that this to this is the same as this to this, and you add 2 more frets to it and you have an octave because of the distances that those 2 notes were apart. And I know that most people have the understanding where all the notes are on the guitar can be really, really intimidating, because there seem to be so many of them. There's got to be at least 1,000, and how can you keep them all straight? They just have to be sort of organized. And if you just start with, what we're really going to start with is understanding 3 important frets on the 6th string, and then the same 3 on the 5th string, and then branching out from there into understanding one's a little higher up the neck and one's across the neck. So it's guitar geography, and I'm calling this one intervals. What intervals would be like the name of the chapter, because if you understand how 4ths, 5ths, octaves, 3rds work, you don't have to worry about 2nds and 6ths and 7ths yet. So that's the other thing. It's like narrow it down to the important ones. So an email went out to everybody. A couple emails have gone out, and you'll, if you've registered, you'll get a link in the mail. You should have already gotten it by the time you're watching this, probably, but it'll be there. What else? Another big thing. Speaking of promotional stuff, I got to talk about these guys, because this thing is really cool. It has come in so handy with, this is the Vadami pedal, the Vadami Blue. This one is the Bluetooth one, but it has come in really handy for slowing down videos, and it's really handy for a bunch of stuff that I don't use it for too, for digital audio workstations and starting and stopping recording and some things like that. But I don't do much of that at my house. But I know a lot of you do. And they are running a special right now, 20% off. And so it's there's a code that that is posted here, and a link that'll take you there. But this thing it has really come in handy for me especially when I'm working on complicated guitar songs. What was I just doing last week? A couple weeks ago, Gaslight Rag. This is one I had to use. I needed to hear it about 15% slower, and it was really easy. I've got mine set to like 5% increments if I want to hear it at 95 or 90 or 85. Don't usually need to go below 75, but it could happen. Anyway, so I want to encourage you to think about adding the Vadami pedal to your arsenal of cool guitar stuff. Okay, the other big news is one of the reasons I got a little sidetracked this week was I was finalizing plans for camps this year. The International Guitar Camp. We're going to run 2. We will have one in April and one in September. The September camp will be pretty much the same format and same style that we've been doing for over. This will be our 11th year of doing it. 2013 was the first one. Oh, that's right, because we missed one because of COVID. So anyway, and that one is probably going to sell out, but there will be some spots available somewhere. We'll have more information about that a little bit later. But due to all the requests and people that we ended up with on a waiting list last year for that, we're doing a smaller camp, the mini camp, in April 25th to the 28th, Thursday through Sunday. Same place here at the Green Mountain Retreat, just up the road from here, us in Los Gatos here. And this one is going to be smaller, and it'll be about 20 people, and there will be less emphasis on performing and more on instruction, more one-on-one, one on 3 or 4 sometimes, small group instruction, and it'll be the same 4 of us. I'll be there with Dave Nachmanoff and Doug Young and Jim Bruno, and it'll be a more instructional, and playing along with other people is the focus of this one. So, and it's a little cheaper because it's a day shorter. So info is out there now. There are links on the web, on the forum that'll take you there to so we're accepting registrations for the April one right now. Not yet for September. Not sure when that's going to happen. Probably January or February. Okay, is that it for my commercials? I think so. I should play something else. Try a little more of the Earl of Salisbury. I keep wanting to go to that E chord there because that's the way I've always played it. I'm having trouble simplifying it. Still got a lot of choices to make on that. I got this reminds me of something else I think I'll play, because I had a discussion with a student. Oh, just this week? Yeah. We were talking about. We're talking about Anji, Davy Graham's tune, that was, well, of course, was made more famous, at least here in the United States, by Paul Simon, but in Europe by Bert Jansch. And they all played it differently. And they all played it differently every time they played it. And if you hear especially a version of Paul Simon's from the, I guess it's from the Old Friends compilation, it's completely different. And, you know, people have gotten so wrapped up in playing exactly everything he does, including all the timing mistakes that he makes and the notes he hits that he didn't mean to hit. Never mind, I didn't say that. I got to cut that part out. But songs like this just have a lot of room for improvisation. And when that happens, things are not always perfect. Keith Jarrett talked about people writing out his improvised concert, the Cologne concert, that from 71, 72, somewhere around that. You know, he walks out and does a show and just improvises the whole show for 45, longer. That one was a double record. So anyhow, and then people wrote it down. Well, there are rhythmic challenges and stuff like that, because sometimes he just changed course in the middle of a measure or in the middle of a note or something like that. And that's kind of the same story with Anji. So I tell people when they're working on Anji, you got to master this. You got to hear this bass line. You got to hear 2 A's, 2 G's, 2 F's, 2 E's. And the top part could be, which is closer to how Davy Graham did. It might even be exactly. I can't remember now, but I have a lesson on that one. And it didn't have any hammer-ons or any razzle-dazzle. Then we hear Paul Simon do something like, with a hammer-on from B to C. Then we hear Bert Jansch do a hammer-on and a pull-off. Neither of which impressed Davy Graham. But it doesn't matter. However you do that, as long as you mess around and keep the bass part going. You don't even have to go to an E chord, but I am. I didn't even know what I was going to do there, so my fingers didn't cooperate with each other. Alright, let's go to the other part. This is, I should be doing this with a thumb pick, because I really can't mute the bass notes the way I want to, because I'm using my thumb to play bass notes here. But then we run into the second section, just the bending of the Gs. Alright, then there's another section that Paul brings in, right? Oh yeah. Now, I don't know if the timing was even right in that, but it was kind of musical when I did. I missed a few notes that time. Still worked because I kind of kept going. Now Davy did another song, completely different, well, that came from a Duke Ellington tune. I think it was Duke Ellington. never in Anji, but it was in Paul Simon's version because he had the Davy Graham album that had both those tunes on it. Got to fade out, I think. Should we end it on that chord? Everybody know what that is? Oh, do I have any other problems to any other things I haven't given you the answers to lately? I don't think so. We solved all the puzzles of the mystery chords from the love song. I think we solved that, and the F with the open E and the B in it, right? Okay, I think that is all that's all that was on my list to talk about today so far. So, hope you get a chance to join us for the webinar and take advantage of some of the special deals we'll offer to people. We'll definitely record it and make it available later, but it might only be, I'm not sure how that's going to work yet. It kind of depends on how well it all seems to go. We hope we don't have any technical glitches and stuff like that, but that is it. Otherwise, next week, I will probably not be doing the news on Friday. That is the day we are going to be doing Thanksgiving with my grown children. They kind of go off to all their other families' houses on Thursday. And so Friday, that gives me Thursday off. So maybe I'll do the news on Thursday. We'll see, because I'll probably follow up with some of the stuff that happened at the webinar. But don't forget, what was in here today? Camp news, Vidami news, and webinar news. That's it. Hope everybody has a great holiday, and I will be back soon.